Hello, my name is Paul Horn. I am the chairman of WELS Military Services Committee, and our purpose is to serve our actively serving members in the Wisconsin Synod, those who are actively serving in the military. Paul Wolfgram is the secretary of our committee, and he is joining me today. And today we're going to be talking about religious accommodation.
So, Pastor, when I was actively serving in the military, I know I had to give up a lot of my normal freedoms that I have as an American citizen. I'm wondering, do actively serving military members give up their religious freedoms as well?
So absolutely not. You do not give up your religious freedom. In fact, the military recognizes that religious freedom is a very important part of the life of our troops, and they want to make sure that they're able to practice their religion freely. And what the military calls this is religious accommodation.
So when should I invoke this right to receive religious accommodation?
So that's a great question. So as someone who is actively serving in the military, the times that you would invoke this religious accommodation right would be when you do not have access to regular worship. So that would be for you as somebody who's actively serving. That would be when you're in basic training, or your training that follows basic training. In the Army, they call it the AITs. When you are restricted to base, when you are an exceptional distance from your local WELS congregation, or if you're going to be away from base or post for an extended period of time. That's when you would invoke that right for religious accommodation.
Pastor, are there times when I, as a military member, cannot invoke this right?
Yes, that's a great question. So if you are located near a local WELS congregation and you have access to that church, you can't invoke that right. Another time would be when you're deployed. As much as your pastor would love to be able to travel with you and be with you while you're downrange, he can't do that. So that would be another time that you can't invoke religious accommodation. But our encouragement to you is to keep in touch with your pastor from your home congregation. Also contact our National Civilian Chaplain and contact the pastor that is closest to your base or post.
Whose responsibility is it for me to receive this religious accommodation?
Hey, another great question. So it's not up to your mom and dad. It's not up to grandma and grandpa. It's up to you. So it is your responsibility to request this religious accommodation.
Oh, thanks a lot, Pastor. You brought up a lot of good points. I'm wondering, is there anything else you'd like to add about these services?
Yes. When you do request religious accommodation, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, always be respectful, be polite, be kind, but at the same time, be insistent. Because the military is allowing this religious accommodation for you, you still should stand your ground and know the regulations associated with religious accommodation. Secondly, you must make this request for religious accommodation in writing. So just be prepared for that be done in writing. The final point that I would like to make as an encouragement to you is to be prepared to answer the questions that you will be asked when you request religious accommodation. Because your commanding officer might scratch his head and say, well, you have all of these chaplains here. Why can't you just speak to one of them? Why can't you just go to one of the Protestant or Lutheran services on base or on post? Here's the answer. You are a member of a distinctive religious group. The Department of Defense recognizes the Wisconsin Synod as a distinctive religious group. The Armed Forces Chaplains Board also recognizes the WELS as a distinctive religious group. We're putting the specific regulations there on your screen right now if you want to look those up. But in summary, what they are saying is that the Department of Defense places a high value on the rights of the members in the military to have access to their religion and to be able to practice it as their denomination or as their religion allows them to.
Thank you very much for all that information, Pastor. I'm wondering, are there any other videos that are available where I can learn more about the WELS Military Services Committee?
Absolutely. We have other videos out there talking about care packages, access to military installations, and you can find those on our website.